Now, here's your host, Bill Teegins.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Eddie Sutton Show. Since last we met, the Cowboys went 1-1 with a lopsided win over Kansas State and then a heartbreaking loss to Missouri. And, Coach, if you have a few more gray hairs this week, it's understandable.
Well, we've had some unusual things happen this year, but probably the most bizarre happened in our game with the University of Missouri. I've coached a long time, and I've never seen it happen even in a junior high game. We played well enough against Missouri to win the ball game by 10 or 15 points. And anyone that knows basketball, if you look at the stat sheet, both teams shot in the mid-40s from the field. We had, I think, 13 turnovers. They had 20. We had 15 offensive rebounds. They had 5. The rebounds overall were even. We shot 34 free throws, and they shot 15. Now, someone that knows basketball would say, well, you won by 10 or 15 points. Well, that's true if we'd hit free throws. We go 4 out of 19 the second half, and in one stretch miss 10 in a row. And for the game, we were 12 out of 34. And you're asking for a lot of problems. And yet, with 6 seconds to go, we're 1 point down. We have a chance to go to the line with a 2-shot situation, and we miss both of those. We get the rebound and miss 3 follow shots, and so we go down to defeat by the University of Missouri. We played well, but we didn't hit free throws, and that's a great lesson for young players that might be watching. That's one thing you need to really work on in your spare time. Make sure you can hit those free throws.
Well, let's talk about good things first. We'll take a look at Kansas State as the Wildcats visit Gallagher-Iba Arena. And, Coach, you played very well in this game, got off to a great start.
We played well in the last 4 games. We beat Colorado soundly. We went to OU and lost in overtime. We came back and played a terrific game against Kansas State, a team that had beaten us 62-59 earlier in the year at Manhattan. We got 37 points off the bench. Marlon Dorsey, Chad Alexander, Maurice Robinson all really gave us good help off the wood. The biggest key in this ball game was our great defense. Kansas State has one of the best inside players in the league in Davis and one of the best perimeter players in Hatcher. We held Hatcher to 10 points, and I think Mark Davis had 6, so that was a big key. We forced them into 26 turnovers. We shot near 50% from the field, and just played a terrific ball game. And of course, Jerome Lambert continued on his tear. There's a good play by our press. Lambert knocked the ball loose, and Adrian Peterson got the basket. There's Marlon Dorsey hitting the tray. But Lambert had 25 points in this ball game, and has really been playing well the last few games.
What's happened to Marlon Dorsey? What's been the change in him? He's just come to life the last 3 or 4 games.
Well, Marlon, the last 2 contests, there's a great defensive play by Dorsey, a good feed by off to Lambert. I think he just gained some confidence, and I believe that he's improved not only his ability to shoot the ball, because he scored some points for us in the last 2 games, but his passing, his defensive play has been good, and as a result, he's gotten more playing time, and I hope that's a good sign, because we still got a lot of basketball left before the season's over.
You've got about 3 guys went down with injuries against Missouri. What's the health of your ball club right now?
Well, I think we're all right. That hurt us. Anytime you lose one of your key players for any period of time in a contest, it's going to be damaging. Lambert went down in the first half, and I wasn't sure he was going to be able to come back. He re-injured that knee, but he did, and I thought it really displayed a lot of maturity and a lot of courage on his part, because I'm not sure early in the year he would have been able to do that, but he came back in the second half against Missouri and did well. Keontae went down with a sprained ankle in the second half and was out for a while, and R.W. McQuarters. But I think all 3 of them will be ready to go Saturday night when we travel to Lincoln to play the Cornhuskers.
All right, this is Kansas State again. If you're just joining us, and the Cowboys with a big win at home on a week ago Saturday. There's Lambert again, as we mentioned, scores 25 points, and boy, he has really come on, hasn't he, over the last month?
Well, I think he's feeling so much better, and there's Maurice Robinson, and he's another guy that's got to come on. He's still not back in tip-top condition after being out with a foot injury for a long time, but he, if we're going to win some games down the stretch, he's going to have to really help Jerome on that front line. But Lambert, I think, is healthy for the first time all season, and as a result, he's just playing outstanding basketball. And here you see Scare throwing the ball length of floor. As halftime ends, we're up 14 points, and that's the thing you always want to do, get ahead of people and make them come to you. And there's Jason Scare hitting a 3. We were 6 out of 19 from beyond the arc.
You know, you mentioned Elliott Hatcher, and boy, he had a scary situation after the game, didn't he?
Well, he did. I wasn't even aware of that till the next day, but when they got ready to board the plane to go home Saturday afternoon after the game, well, evidently he had some chest pains, and so they brought him back to our hospital here in Stillwater, and fortunately they checked him out and didn't think anything was wrong, but then they took him back to Manhattan, and I think they've done some further tests, and evidently nothing has shown up. So anytime a young man like that has chest pains, I think it really brings fear to any coach, and because of what has happened to some of the basketball players across the country in the past.
Well, you talked about the bench, and we're seeing Robinson come to life here. Chad Alexander hits a jumper, and Mr. Dorsey again with his passing is really improved.
That was a
too,
great pass. Marlon ended up leading our ball club, or I guess he was second in assists. He had 6, and Jerome had 7.
Cowboy defense has been superb over here, forcing some tough shots.
We only had 8 turnovers, and I think you would sell out for that. That's one area that we've really improved in the last 4 games is being able to take care of the basketball. There's Chad Alexander hitting a 3-pointer.
He had 3 of those, finished with 11 points. Kansas State's hit kind of a tough spot. They, boy, great hustle here.
A great hustle play by Andre Owens. Andre is playing much better than he was a couple of weeks ago.
Seasons are so long. You no matter how good you are or how you struggle, there are certain times when things don't go well. Kansas State's kind of in that area right now.
Well, they are. And, you know, one of the things in conference play is catching teams at the right time when maybe they're down or they have one of their key players out. There's a play we set up, a back screen for Keontae Roberts. He laid it in, and there's Marlon Dorsey in another basket. But it seems like to me we've caught teams this year at bad times. Yeah. Just like we're getting ready to play Nebraska, and they've had all kinds of problems up there. But I think they've circled the wagons. They're all back together again, and I'm sure we're going to meet a group of very fired-up Cornhuskers Saturday evening.
Well, 83-60 was the final against Kansas State. When we come back, we'll take a look at the Missouri Tigers. That's coming up next on the Eddie Sutton Show. Welcome back to the Eddie Sutton Show. For the first and only time this year, the Cowboys back-to-back home conference games as the Missouri Tigers come. It's a weird schedule this year.
We were very confident going into this game, even though we were catching Missouri maybe at a tough time because they had just beaten the University of Kansas for the Jayhawks' only loss in conference play this year. Before that, they had been struggling. I think against Colorado, Oklahoma, and Nebraska in 3 games, they'd given up like 306 points. And that's not typical of a Norm Stewart ball club. They're always tough defensively, and they certainly were in this game.
They have a lot of talent on that ball club when you look at it.
Well, I think that Missouri probably next to Kansas, and I think they're second or third if you take their talent and a lot of experienced players, and they played very well at times this year. And like I said, they had that one stretch where they struggled, but they'll be in the NCAA tournament. I think they're a good basketball team. And here's a play where Jerome got hurt. We ran an alley-oop. He dunked it, and Hards, their big freshman center, you can see bumped him while he was in the air right here.
Did he come down on his knee?
And he came down on his knee right there and just twisted a little bit.
Well, he looked to be in a lot of pain.
Yeah, I wasn't sure that he hadn't really injured his knee severely. And there's Steve York and Dr. Don Cooper, our team physician and trainer, helping Jerome off the floor. But he did show a lot of intestinal fortitude, but coming back and down the stretch, he was a warrior. That's one thing our defense is a lot better, but the one thing we try to force everything to the outside in our man defense, and we've allowed too many people at times to penetrate into the heart of the defense. When that happens, it forces help situation, which means somebody has to come over and assist you, and when you do that, that's a breakdown in your defense. So you want to try to shovel everything outside. We're getting better at it, but in this ball game, 2 or 3 times we allowed people to penetrate. There's what Keontae does best. He's a slasher, and he's strong, good body control, and he can take that ball to the basket. He had 13 points at the halftime. There's what I'm talking about. Jason let the guy penetrate in there. We're fortunate we get a couple of blocked shots, and I think the clock runs out on him.
Right.
The 35-second clock ran out.
First half, you feel pretty good the way things are going?
Well, we certainly did. You know, we're up 33-29 and actually had a bigger lead than that at one time. The only thing I was a little concerned about was whether Jerome was going to come back, and I asked him at halftime. He said, I'm going to come back and play, which he did. But it was a nip-and-tuck affair all the second half. Both teams played excellent defense. I mentioned we forced them into 20 turnovers, and we committed 13.
We saw Kevin Miles for just a moment. He had 2 blocks in limited time there in that first half. He played pretty well.
Kevin played very well. We didn't play him very much the second half, but he did a good job in that first half. There's Andre hitting about a 15-foot jumper.
Ended up with 4 players in double figures in this game, or 3 players in double figures in this game, I guess.
Well, nobody really had big numbers. Keanu had 13, didn't score in the second half. Jerome had 11. Adrian had 13, and Andre had 10.
We're watching free throws here, and you missed one here, you got the follow. It's been a problem all year long. It was magnified in this game because it really came down to kill you. But what do you do? How do you approach this at this stage of the game? And
why don't we talk about that when we get through here?
Okay.
I'll make some comments on that. And there's, just before that, you saw Maurice Robinson come in and hit one. We battle. Bill Connors, who's a sports editor of the Tulsa World, told me that he thought this group of young men probably fought as hard and displayed a high amount of intensity anytime he's seen them play. When you see guys go on the floor and watch this hustle play here, you know the kids are really trying and playing hard. And we just didn't hit those free throws, and we'll talk about that. That's something that I think nationally you're seeing a lot of teams struggle free throw-wise. Kansas leading our league, and yet they too are having a hard time converting the freebies.
You guys forced them into a lot of turnovers and gave you a chance to down the stretch do some things because your defense didn't. Here's another one.
Yeah, we forced them into a lot of miscues. There's a great fast break. Your defense gets you the ball, and in transition, you're able to convert it for an easy basket. And that really brought the crowd to life. I tell you, the crowd did everything possible, and all of us were stunned when the game was over because everybody that knows the game knows that if you do anything at the free throw line, you're going to win the game.
You know, guys like Grimm, who's such a good shooter, was ineffective from the outside. I thought Sutton, you guys did a great job on him. He finished with 15, but gee, these are good shooters.
Yes, they are. Right here at this point, I thought we were going to break the game. I think that put us up 6 points. It looked like that we just had everything going. And I think this is where Sutherland hits a big three-point play. Andre got buried on a down screen.
Great hustle again here.
It is great hustle. 2 guys go on the floor after the basketball.
Great pass.
Good pass by Marlin off to Mo.
Tell you what, this was exciting. This is a draining game, though. It took everything out of everybody, I think.
When you have a low-scoring game, it's every possession means so much. I think that's one reason Iowa State is tough to play right now. They've kind of screwed the game down, and boy, every time they get the basketball, you know that you better do the right things or you're not going to get it back. There we ran a spatial play on a timeout and got a basket to Jerome. But Iowa State's been the surprise team, and this week they get Kansas and Ames, and then we get them here next Wednesday evening.
Here's Sutherland. He finished with 3 of those and 15 points.
He's one of the best guards we have in the conference. There's a great drive by Andre. And you can see they're up 1 and with a minute to go. And great defense there. And the clock ran out on them. And here we are. This ball almost goes in. Watch this ball roll around.
It's one of those nights, wasn't it?
And then Jerome steps up there, and Pete does a great job. We ran a free throw play. He misses. This is great effort here.
That's unbelievable that ball didn't go down that many times.
It wasn't for lack of effort, and I told Norm best of luck the rest of the year, and maybe we'll catch him in the Big 8 tournament in Kansas City in March.
You want to talk free throws?
Free throw shooting is something that we try to emphasize to our players every day, that you go up there and you put yourself under pressure. Put in your mind that this is the game. You're playing OU, you're playing Kansas, you're playing Missouri. And every day you get you a routine and you shoot them the same way. The basket stand is the same height all across the world. The line's the same distance. You have 10 seconds. There's nobody covering you. You must have the attitude when you go up there, if you practice sincerely every day, that when you go up there, I'm going to get me another point. And we're not doing anything differently shooting free throws than we've ever done. But for some reason, it's like a disease. This thing, all of a sudden, the guys hit them in practice and they get in a game, and it just snowballs on you. And you can almost see that when they go up there, they're not going up there with confidence. They're going up there and saying, boy, I hope this one goes in. And that you can't do that. So I've had a lot of assistant coaches around the country call me this week and give me suggestions of what I might do to help our free throw shooting.
Anything good?
Hey, we're trying everything. So we're going to continue to work hard on those free throws, and hopefully we'll hit them better down the stretch.
Well, we all know Gallagher-Iba is a special place. When we come back, we'll take a look at the special home of the Oklahoma State Cowboys when the Eddie Sutton Show continues. Welcome back to the Eddie Sutton Show. If you've ever been at Gallagher-Iba Arena for an Oklahoma State basketball game, you know the excitement and the aura of that great facility. A lot of work goes on behind the scenes, and in our off-the-court feature this week, Tom Dorado and Wade Pearson take a look at that.
There's no question Gallagher-Iba Arena is unparalleled when it comes to college basketball excitement. Players, coaches, and fans all seem to take it to another level once the ball goes into the air. Basketball in Stillwater is more than a game. Over the last 5+ seasons, it has become an event, one that involves many people behind the scenes. On this off-the-court feature, we recognize all those who help make it possible. Sit back and enjoy the sights and sounds that make Cowboy basketball and Gallagher-Iba Arena a winning combination.
You know, Bill, I think that's what makes college basketball so exciting. All the groups that really get into making it an exciting event. You know, you get a look at our pom-pom squad, our cheerleaders, our young guns, our Spurs, all of our fans. I even saw Donna Cooper, Don's wife, come through the door there. And that's what's made it a tough place for opponents to come in here and win. I think during the period of time I've been here, we're 74-7. And we'd only lost 4 times in the first 5 years, and this year we've lost 3 games, but it's not because the fans haven't helped us. And I think it'll always be one of the great places to really showcase college basketball because of the enthusiasm.
It's certainly a great place to watch a game and to play a game. When we come back, we'll take a look at what's ahead for the Cowboys when the Eddie Sutton Show continues. For the Cowboys, it's on to Nebraska, then back to Iowa State Wednesday night at Gallagher-Iba. For Coach Sutton, I'm Bill Teegins. We'll see you next week on the Eddie Sutton Show.